If you're an entrepreneur looking to kickstart a project with cash, listen up. This year's Jacksonville Venture Competition gets underway next week, and potentially big money hangs in the balance. Here to tell us about it are Matthew Chang, founder and principal of the local engineering firm Chang Industrial. Hey, welcome.
Hey, good morning.
And Timothy Gibbons, editor of the Jacksonville Business Journal. Hi, Tim.
Good to be here.
Matt, tell us, are you Matt or Matthew?
Matthew's good.
All right, Matthew, officially. You started this venture competition last year. What was your goal?
The goal was really to fill a gap that we have in Jacksonville, which is creating access to funding for company founders. The end goal is keep startups here in Jacksonville so that we have exciting places to work.
Mm-hmm. And why is that important? I mean, it sounds kind of obvious, but why is it important that startups want to be in the city?
Well, we're already making startups, but we have this unfortunate story where some of our founders have to go looking for money to build their companies, and they go to other cities. Initially, we thought, hey, it's going to be Silicon Valley or Boston, Massachusetts. Turns out a lot of our local founders go to places like Charleston, South Carolina, and even Tallahassee, we've heard. So we said, we've got to fix this. We can do it right here in town. There's no lack of investors, but we have to educate the investors how to invest in startup companies instead of real estate.
So it's not that there's not money here to be had.
That's right. There's plenty of money. Take a drive around the beaches or San Marco, and you can see that there's plenty of money. Obviously, a lot of people are doing well in this city. We want the people that are doing well to recycle their capital into our founders and startup companies.
So, Tim, the Business Journal is kind of a co-sponsor or sponsoring this event this year. What is it that the Business Journal anticipates will happen, and what's the interest?
So we started sponsoring this because we're seeing the growth of that innovation ecosystem. It's, as Matt said, a area that a lot of companies here, a lot of money here, a lot of things that could happen here, and that's good for all businesses. So we sponsored it to get involved there, and then next year we're going to be adding it to our stable of events. Jacksonville Business Journal does a variety of programs honoring young leaders and fastest growing companies and things like that, and this will become part of that because the idea is that we want to encourage and bring together and help these companies grow.
And are you hearing, kind of as Matthew said, that there is a absence of that connectivity, that people aren't able to find, and the resources that are available?
Yeah, that has been the story for, it feels like the entire time I've been covering technology and innovation. Of people are here, they're hungry, there's companies who don't necessarily connect with each other, can't connect with funders. So kind of growing more of a community is part of the idea of this. So at last year's event, you had big companies and you had funders and you had entrepreneurs and you had people who are thinking about starting companies all together in the same room. And the connections that can forge in that type of room is a valuable thing.
And so how do you approach investors? I mean, a lot of people have ideas, and I'm sure they'd be very eager to hook up with some, wealthy investors. But are investors just sitting out there waiting to be tapped?
That's more of a Matt question. You know what journalists make. I don't.
Yeah, there are investors, but they have to be educated in what's called series-funded companies. So when you read about the big companies in tech that were doing a seed round or Series A, Series B, that's a different style of investing than several people coming together doing a development project, which is our predominant style of investing. So what we're doing is we're providing education, we're providing spotlighting to our startups. We'll have a live pitch, and so people will see just the high quality and creativity of startups coming out of Jacksonville. And then what we also do is we spotlight nonprofits, because nonprofits are the ones that actually go to work in the community and make it a place worth living. So we think that by tying the investors, the startups, and then the nonprofits together, that it creates the community Tim referenced.
So what do you envision happening? I mean, if this is year 2, how do you see this initiative growing, and how do you see it, if it has the impact that you want it to, changing the landscape in Jacksonville?
Yeah, so there will be ample network opportunities for people to meet each other and create collisions. That's the word in this industry, is creating collisions. And then the next thing is there'll be a main street of funding. So we have a main street, we have a Bay Street, but right now there's no offices of funding companies like venture capital companies or angel investing companies lining the street. So what we have to do is we have to recruit funders to come here to set up professional investment offices. And then our local investors can put their money behind those investment companies as they work through the process of vetting startups.
Is that how it works? A company comes and then the investors use that as an avenue to access these startups?
That's absolutely how it works. So it's called the Jacksonville Venture Competition, and it's modeled after venture capital investing. Venture capitalists are really just high-end consultants that can evaluate companies and make bets on the future. And then that takes the heavy lifting off the investor, who may not say, hey, AI is a big thing. How do I invest in AI? I'm not qualified to evaluate AI companies. Well, the venture capital company will evaluate the AI companies for you, make a recommendation, and tell you what it's worth.
Got you. And so there is a element of competition. There's a pitch session that people can participate in. How does that work? How much cash are we talking about, available?
Yeah, there's a pitch competition, hence the name, and that's an important part of something like this, both to it's part of that education thing that you can actually see how a company is pitching itself, what type of questions investors are asking. I'm not sure if we've actually given a number.
The maximum purse size available is $1.2 million.
Yeah.
It's a substantial sum, and for any founder that enters the competition and wins, it changes their day and their year for sure. The actual amount invested could be different because you have to go through the professional process of underwriting. So a company may not need $1.2 million. They might be looking for $500,000 right now. And then that's what they'll get. If they needed more, and they could go up to the higher amount. And the beautiful thing about investing is the idea of syndicates. So what will happen is with our lead venture capital company, Venture South, when they choose a company to invest in, pile-on investment companies will come behind them and say, well, gosh, Venture South, you're so smart. You figured this out. Can we just put some extra money behind it? So we have local funding companies already that are looking to pile on behind Venture South. So it's a snowball effect. And what most founders can expect is your initial investment, let's call it $1 million, should roll up to $2 or $3 million by the time the deal is done.
So I'm old enough, and I know Tim's been around long enough to remember One Spark when that was a huge thing. It was seen as going to be transformative for Jacksonville. At least the first year, it had enormous participation, and it was similar. It was people with great ideas trying to connect with finance. And there have been success stories. Rethreaded is one of them. It helps people get out of sex trafficking, and it continues to exist and to thrive. But the effort itself fizzled out.
Rethreaded will be one of the speakers at the JVC, by the way. And Tony could probably write a book on One Spark and the what happened there. But I think that showed the appetite for having something that connects people with ideas, people who want to do something and grow a company with funders. One Spark was different in that it was also a street festival, and I think a lot of people really enjoyed that. This does not have a street festival. It's purely that company growth bit.
Are there lessons to be learned, though, from what happened to One Spark?
I'm sure there are.
I mean,
We talked to the Jaguars about this, and the Jaguars are backing JVC.
and they also were at the One Spark
They were
initially.
critical behind One Spark. So what the Jaguars have said is that they're always looking for an entrepreneurial event that they can get behind. However, One Spark was too much logistics. With the street festival element, it became almost another downtown festival, and that took away from the essence of connecting founders to funders, which made it unsustainable after a period of time. So what the Jaguars like about JVC is it's a packaged event. It's 2 days. We get all the business done, all the thought leadership inside of a room. We'll be at the Jaguars West Club, the newly renovated West Club. So if you've been there for game day, we're renovating the clubhouse at the stadium to turn into a conference venue. So you'll be well taken care of, food and drink and comfortable seating, air conditioning, and it doesn't matter if it's rain or shine because we're inside. So that's what the Jags liked about it was it's a packaged event. And last year we did it with the Chamber of Commerce at their Innovation Center at JTA's building.
And Matthew, just briefly, how could people find information if they want to attend?
The website is jaxvc.com. So
All
it's
right.
pretty easy, jaxvc.com. All the information's online.
Well, good luck with it. Matthew Chang, Tim Gibbons, thank you so much for being here today.
All right. Thanks so much.
All right.